Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below this video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Was, Sleeping Warrior, Ranty Flat Earth, Travis, Jose, Issa, CSW07, and Alan. Good to have you all. Beep beep.
It's time.
Is anybody gonna say hello? Just one beep beep.
Yeah, what up, everybody? What's up with them 600 nautical miles?
Hello.
I'm gonna do a plug for my own channel. So in the break between these shows, the recording continues. So the live show stops, the recording carries on, and then when I publish it again, so on my secondary channel, which is just called Nathan Space Oakley, there is a link in the info box below the video also, you'll get the in-between bits on the show. So if you want to hear me absolutely losing my shit with Jimmy, tune in tomorrow, because they go up 24 hours later, to the re-up on the backup channel, which is just called Nathan Oakley. As I say, there's a link in the info box. But I don't often tell people, I think there's only ever been in the, 9-10 months of doing this show daily, there's only ever been a couple of people that have said, don't return, don't ever come back here. And Jimmy has just been added to that list. Basically, I lost my temper with him. And the reason is pretty simple. For the last 3 or 4 days, we've been trying to get him to concede that he's lied, which he has done. We've got tape recordings, just like GeoStream, we've got a tape recording of him lying. And it doesn't matter what we do, how many times we play it back to him. So in the break, what he did is he provided us with a transcript. And the transcript had his annotations about how he was feeling. And it just sent me into a rage. It's like, not only are you prepared to lie, you're prepared to transcribe the conversation, adding in your annotations that support your lie. It's like just an absolute outrage. The guy is a blatant liar. Just makes me very angry. Anyway, tune into Nathan Oakley channel if you want to see me going absolutely nuts at Jimmy. Swearing and shouting. If you like that sort of thing, you'll like my backup channel.
I was on a week or so ago, and it was like we were talking about the 600 nautical miles that they treat as flat when they do plain sailing, and he was trying to argue with me about say that it was mistaken, and he didn't even understand that you could use like that the way to find your latitude is to use the angle of Polaris. And like when we argue with people that don't understand these simple things, or they don't understand, let's say, like the the idea of the circumference of the Earth or any of the proposed mathematics of what the ball Earth is, it makes it like annoying. So I would hope that people that do come in and argue for the ball would come in and do so effectively with real information and not have to make it up.
That's why they don't come in anymore, Issa. They don't have information. I call it evidence, but they don't have it. That's why they don't come in anymore.
Yeah, it seems that way. That's how it happened back in the day too. We were on over at we used to chill on like free chan and stuff, and it just turns into a bunch of flat earthers having a good time. And then you got all your flat earth trolls that are like, oh, you guys are trying to ruin flat earth because you don't debate flat earth all the time. And it's like, no, we've wrecked all the ballers and they don't come in and hang out with us.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? So we wind up being like and then they're like, you guys are hippies and kumbaya people because we actually are artists and we're creative and we can have a good time. It's hilarious. It's like I started thinking like with the like I feel like if you had like a camp party and like the baller walks in and like they're like, "Hey, are you guys drinking beer?" and you're like, "No, this is an ice preserver, and these cans in here are just there to help the ice stay cool." It's like they'll buy it. It's hilarious. Somebody re-listening to something?
Oh yeah, that's me. Sorry, should have put myself on mute. I just want to listen. I just want to. It's all right. I'll come back to you in a sec.
Word. Nice. Chill.
Good stuff.
All right,
Yeah, man.
so maybe I can ask a question of explanation because I mean, I somewhat understand it to a certain extent, but then it gets crisscrossed. Nathan, would you mind just walking through the Coriolis discussion? Just the basic issue. I know it's gone over, but
No problem. So the Coriolis effect is relatively simple to explain. If you take a roundabout, so you've got a kid's roundabout that spins, and the spinning roundabout itself is a single reference frame, your first reference frame. You also have the atmosphere, which is static, it's not turning. So you have two separate reference frames. If you were to sit on the edge, or inside or outside edge, it doesn't matter, of the spinning roundabout with a ball in your hand, and you were to throw that ball, as you throw that ball, the ball will leave your hand and travel in a straight line. But you will continue to turn on the roundabout. Therefore, what you see is what looks like an apparent deflection of the ball. However, the ball is actually travelling in a straight line. It is only an apparent effect from your vantage point because the ball has entered a second separate reference frame while you continue on your travels on the first. Now, when this was explained to George, he would have to assert over and over again that in that example, you have an atmosphere travelling with the roundabout. So instead of having a roundabout with just normal air around it, like you'd expect, now we have a force field around the roundabout with the atmosphere trapped to the roundabout, spinning at exactly the same speed. So this is what he asserts the Earth does. You have
Now he said he was
one
going both
reference.
ways with it yesterday. He was like 1 minute it was, and then 1 minute it wasn't. And
Right,
then he was
but-
lying that he said this and that he said that a second ago, and it was just ridiculous.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but what I hear in that explanation is basically a description of our Earth as it really is. It's a closed system, and it's not spinning. So that's the same phenomenon.
Yeah, but which definition are you talking about that he was using? Because he was using both.
No. I was just talking about the way Nathan explained it. It's again, yeah.
Forget Earth. Coriolis is a real effect. That's why I can detail it on a roundabout. The problem is that they say the Coriolis effect exists, but that causes them an enormous problem. Because if you have the Coriolis effect, in other words, you throw your ball on the Earth and the ball travels through the separate reference frame of the atmosphere, but you continue to turn, you continue on your journey on your other reference frame, the first reference frame, the Earth spinning underneath the atmosphere, then you see the apparent deflection of the ball. However, if that is true, east and west flights would have a different duration because one would have the Earth turning underneath the plane in its separate reference frame.
Okay, here's what I hear you saying to a certain extent. When you say there is a Coriolis effect, what you're saying, as I interpret that, is there is a merry-go-round effect. That's the only reference for a Coriolis is the merry-go-round. There's no other phenomenon where that happens in our Earth, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that is the circumstances that you must have in order to fulfill the criteria of seeing an apparent deflection caused by two separate reference frames. So you must have something spinning, and then something that is a separate reference frame entirely from that spinning. In this instance, with the roundabout example, the roundabout spins, the air does not. So when you're holding the ball is spinning with you and the roundabout. When you throw the ball, it leaves the initial first reference plane, the roundabout. It ceases to be attached and stops spinning. because you have thrown it, it has a forward trajectory. It travels in a straight line. But as you watch it, it looks like it's curving. It looks like it's got a deflection because you have continued to turn while the ball carries it on in a straight line. Hence, they say that the bullet gets deflected because as it enters the atmosphere, the ball, Earth, according to them, carries on turning underneath. The problem comes when you go, right, why doesn't that happen with planes?
Right. So again, we should rename it the roundabout effect.
Hey, Rumpus.
Oh,
Good to have you.
well, good to be here.
We're gonna have a nice conversation today, Rumpus.
Sorry, what was that? Was that
We're
Anthony?
going to have a nice back and forth, not just a back.
Well, I only get 5% of their time in comparison to Nathan, so that's up
Yeah,
to
to be
Nathan,
fair,
isn't it?
I do have a little bit of sympathy for you because Arwin gets far more different treatment to what you get. So
Yeah, that's for sure.
I emphasize a little bit. I empathize a little bit towards, not that much. Let's not exaggerate how much that little bit is. It's very,
Right.
very small.
Let's not get overexcited, okay?
It's a bit like the gravitational pull effect. You know, the weakest of the
It's
forces.
a weak force,
Yeah, it's very small.
Yeah, I don't understand
like
that.
your
Well,
argument.
So what can we do for you today, Rumpus?
Well, I just thought I'd correct Nathan there. He doesn't seem to understand Coriolis. Well, he doesn't understand very much, but I just thought I'd explain the Coriolis situation. He's actually got half of it right. I mean, he's sort of understood it. But anyway, let me carry on. So you're on the surface of the Earth, the atmosphere, the bullet, the gun, the person are all going around in the same reference frame. When you fire the bullet, just like as Nathan described with the ball, the bullet leaves the reference frame of the Earth, the atmosphere, the person, and the surface of the Earth, and it enters its own reference frame. But just because the bullet is traveling through the atmosphere does not mean to say that it has entered the reference frame of the atmosphere. It has not done that. The atmosphere is still in the reference frame of the Earth and rotating with it. And Nathan seems to think that because the bullet is traveling through the atmosphere, it's suddenly become part of the atmosphere's reference frame. No, it's moving with respect to the atmosphere. It's not part of the atmospheric reference frame. The
Of course,
atmosphere.
it's in it.
Oh, let me just 2 more seconds. The atmosphere is part of the Earth's reference frame and rotating with it. I've finished.
How does it avoid the atmosphere when it's in it?
Well, it doesn't avoid it. It just goes through it. It
Yeah,
travels
so
with
it's in
respect to it.
So so you're saying the bullet's its own reference frame?
Yes, it's moving. Remember, what all a reference frame
What a
means.
nonsense.
Let me hold on. Let me
Is that Rumpus? Is that because it's?
Give me 10 seconds. Give me 10 seconds.
I was going to ask you.
Just because something is moving through something else does not mean to say it's in the same reference frame. All a reference frame means is that if you're in the same reference frame, you're moving at the same thing, in this exactly the same way as other things in that reference frame. But a bullet is not moving in the same way as the atmosphere and the Earth and the person and the gun. It is moving with respect to it. Therefore, it is not in the same reference frame as the atmosphere, even though it's going through the atmosphere. Finished.
So why is it separate? Is it because of the sheer force that's been delivered to it?
Sorry to interrupt you. Well, it's moving with respect to the atmosphere and the Earth's surface, and therefore it's not in the same reference frame. Just because it's occupying, has to go through the atmosphere, does not mean to say it's in the same reference frame. It's moving with respect. Hold on, no, hold on.
Double speak.
No, if something is moving with respect to something else, it's not, repeat, not in the same reference frame.
So it's in a separate reference frame then?
No, that's the definition, Anthony, of being a different reference frame. You're moving with respect to it. It's moving with respect to the atmosphere. It's moving with respect to the surface of the Earth. Therefore, it is not in the same reference frame as the atmosphere or the Earth.
So with the ball then, Rumpus. So with the ball, hold on. I've got a ball. I've got a ball, Rumpus. So I'm on a roundabout, and I toss the ball. Are you saying that the ball now generates its own reference frame, irrespective of the atmosphere?
Right. In the case of the ball,
the ball creates its own reference frame, and the atmosphere ceases to be a reference frame.
No, the atmosphere is in the Earth.
No, it's still one.
What I'll repeat the definition of a reference frame.
It separates. It's separated.
A definition of a reference frame is simply that all the things in the same reference frame do not move with respect to one another. That's all a reference frame means. So in the case of being on the merry-go-round that Nathan's just raised, the ball is, you've got 3 reference frames there. You've got the roundabout, the area around the roundabout, the ground, and then you've got what the ball is doing, because the ball is moving with respect to both. It's moving with respect to the roundabout, and it's moving with respect to the ground. But in the case of being on the surface of the earth and firing a gun...
Sorry, just got to stop you a second. So is the air moving with the roundabout, Rumpus?
The air doesn't move with the roundabout.
Oh, right, but the air does move with the earth. I'm confused. Correct. Aren't they... The Coriolis effect is the Coriolis effect. It doesn't matter what it's applied to, and you need a separate reference frame. So, yes. The atmosphere on my roundabout example causes the deflection because the air is a separate reference frame, isn't it, Rumpus?
No, the air's in the same... on the roundabout situation...
On the roundabout situation, answer me this simple question, Rumpus. Does the air travel in a circle with the roundabout?
No, it doesn't.
So you have a separate reference frame, the atmosphere. The roundabout turns underneath. The ball goes into the separate reference frame, the atmosphere, which is absolutely comparable to the Earth as a sphere. You have the thing underneath it turning, and the atmosphere is separate. That is why you get a deflection.
Absolutely not. We get a deflection because you're on the roundabout.
Sorry, answer me this again.
Oh, you're interrupting me again.
Answer me a question again, Rumpus. Yes or no? Does the atmosphere travel along with the roundabout?
No, because the roundabout's rotating by itself.
So, in my roundabout example, the atmosphere is indeed a separate reference frame.
To the roundabout, yes.
Yes. So we have two reference frames for the ball. For the ball to create the necessary situation to have a Coriolis deflection. The atmosphere is... Shut up! The atmosphere is one. The roundabout is the other, Rumpus.
No, the ball is travelling with respect to the atmosphere. Surely you can see that.
Sorry, Rumpus, does the atmosphere travel with the roundabout?
No.
So it's a separate reference frame then?
Correct.
So we have all the necessary ingredients for the Coriolis effect. The roundabout spins, the ball leaves the man's hand and goes into the second reference frame. The atmosphere, Rumpus. The second reference frame in this Coriolis example. Now you want us to... Can you shut up? You want us to accept that when we scale it up to the size of Earth, suddenly the atmosphere does travel with the roundabout.
Correct, yes. Well done.
Oh, really? Well, how do we have a Coriolis deflection with the ball then, Rumpus?
Because in the case of the roundabout, you've got three reference frames.
No, we don't. We only need two to have a Coriolis deflection. A separate reference frame, the atmosphere. Tick! Done. We've definitely got that second reference frame, that atmosphere. Done. Sorted. Second reference frame is the atmosphere. We've got a ball, which we're going to see deflect when we let go of it as we spin on the roundabout.
Right, what I've got to say.
If you keep talking over me, Rumpus, I will kick you out.
No, you interrupted me. I said I got 2 seconds in and you interrupted me.
I run this show, Rumpus. If I want to talk, I will.
But, okay, you can be a tosser if you want to be.
Yeah, I can, because it's my show.
He's trying to...
And I'm just trying to explain it to you. If you're a truth seeker...
He doesn't need to explain it. I understand it, whoever made that comment. I don't need Rumpus to explain that when we have a roundabout, as Rumpus has already conceded, we have two reference frames. One is the atmosphere, and one is the roundabout. All the necessary ingredients for the Coriolis effect exist, and the atmosphere is a separate reference frame. So when I release the ball, we see a Coriolis deflection. Now, according to Rumpus, we have different circumstances with the Earth, but suddenly the ball becomes a reference frame. That's nonsense.
Right, Nathan, do you accept there are three things going on in the case of being on a roundabout? One, the ball has a motion with respect to the roundabout, and it has a motion with respect to the Earth, including the atmosphere.
No, the atmosphere, Rumpus. No, the second reference frame is the atmosphere. It does not travel. It does not travel with the roundabout, Rumpus. That gives you your second reference frame. I'll say it again. You haven't let me finish. Shut up.
There are three reference frames, Nathan.
Really? Tell me what they are.
Oh, great, thank you. One is the rotating roundabout. Two is the atmosphere and the ground. And the third one is the ball. All of them are moving with respect to one another.
Sorry, so the ball is not a reference frame. The ball is the thing you will see deflected. Again, I've got through half a sentence, Rumpus. Why are you doing what you're accusing me of doing?
Because you do it to me all the time.
Who's rustling? Who the hell is rustling? Is that you, Woz? Because you're going to get kicked out if that's you rustling.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's my beard.
Yeah, shut your stupid mic, you dumb idiot.
Okay, calm down.
Yeah, do it! Don't tell me to calm down. Right, get out, you stupid prick. Can't help yourself but have your mic open while you eat your stupid crisps, you bloody idiot. Right, Rumpus. All necessary conditions for that ball to deflect are met. We have 2 reference frames, the roundabout and the atmosphere. Simple.
Got 3. Oh, have I been kicked for some reason?
Hello, George.
Joined.
Oh. Right, so there are 3 reference frames.
No, there aren't. There are 2. Roundabout and atmosphere. That's all we need to look at. There aren't 3. The ball is not a reference frame.
Yes, it is, because the definition of a reference frame is whether or not you're moving with respect to something else. And the ball is moving with respect to the rotating roundabout, and it's also moving with respect to the Earth. So you've got 3.
Yeah, but the ball isn't an independent reference frame. It's
Anthony, the definition of a reference frame is something that's moving with regard to those things in a reference. I mean, the ball.
So the ball would be the something.
No, yeah, it's moving with regard to both the roundabout and the ground. Do you accept that?
Yeah, but it's not
Great.
a reference
In which
frame.
case,
It's something.
And anything that moves.
Rumpus, you don't understand the
Yeah,
definition.
anything that moves, Rumpus, for the love of God. Anything that moves, that would be the ball, you bloody idiot.
And it's moving with.
Anything that moves is not the reference plane. You are a thicko.
No, you don't understand.
I do understand. I understand implicitly. Anything that moves through a reference plane, that would be a ball.
No, anything that's moving.
Yeah, that would be a ball in this instance. Okay, so we established the thing moving now is going to be the ball. Okay, Rumpus?
And it's moving with respect to 2 reference frames.
Right, so the ball moves with regards to the reference frame. It moves with regards... Get a stroppy, my kid starts playing with my touch screen. Typical. So the ball is the thing that's moving, Rumpus.
I missed that. Oh my God. Right.
Careful.
Anything that's moving with regard to something else is.
No.
A ball being thrown off a roundabout is in a different reference frame both to the ground and to the roundabout. In the case of firing a bullet on the surface of the Earth, there are only 2 reference frames because your atmosphere and the ground are in the same one, and then there's the bullet. But on the roundabout, there are 3 because the ground is not moving differently to the roundabout. In the case of an atmosphere, the ground and the air are all moving together in one. So you lose one of the reference frames, you've got an merry-go-round situation. So you've got the 2 reference frames that Nathan was talking about to get the Coriolis effect. You've got the Earth and the atmosphere rotating, and then the gun immediately the bullet fires, it's in its own reference frame, and then you have 2 reference frames, 1, the bullet, and 2, the Earth and atmosphere combined. So you've got 2 reference frames, and then you can have your Coriolis effect. On the merry-go-round, there are 3 reference frames. The ground, along with the atmosphere, the rotating roundabout, and the ball. You've got 3. You've got a bonus one, but you do not need any more than 2. And so in the case of the atmosphere and firing a bullet, you've got 2. You've got all the reference frames you need, and the bullet moves with regard to the atmosphere. Just because it goes through it does not mean to say it's part of that reference frame. Am I the only person?
If you had read my comment, Nathan, that I made last night, I explained that to you. That talking about a roundabout complicates the situation because, as Rumpus said, you have 3 reference frames. Then you have 2 rotating frames and a translational frame.
What year are we in, George?
Say what?
What century are we in?
Oh, come on, get off it.
Come on,
Anyway.
no. Come on, I just want to know what century we're in.
What's that got to do with the discussion, Ranty?
Yeah, it's the 21st century, okay?
Hey!
All right.
You only just found that out last night?
Yeah, good head woman in there, Ranty. Well distracted.
Did you only just find that out last night?
You try to
Why are you trying to distract the discussion?
Because
I'll bring it back.
And you don't even know what century it is.
Are you frightened of the debate, Ranty?
I'll bring it back.
Listen, I'll have a conversation with somebody who knows what century it is.
He knows far more about everything than you do.
Sure he does. He doesn't even know what century he's in.
He knows so much more than you do, Ranty. You don't appreciate it.
Let's not address him. Let's focus on the Coriolis.
Okay, I'll just be the guinea pig here. I'll be the guinea pig here. So we have a closed system where the Earth and the atmosphere are locked in tandem. They are moving in uniform speed. Okay.
There's a slight. Sorry to interrupt you, but there is a slight variation. With winds, of course, they do move with respect to the Earth's surface and the
Yes,
atmosphere.
yes.
So there's a slight complication there, and
Oh,
that's why
no,
you get
it's-
Coriolis affecting winds. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But in
It's-
general, the atmosphere as a whole moves with the surface of the Earth.
Okay,
But there are
okay.
variations within
I
the
understand. You don't have to keep explaining
Brilliant.
yourself.
Well done. I'm glad you
Okay.
understood that, because a lot of people don't.
No, he doesn't stand under it. He doesn't agree with it. He just understood what you explained.
No, people don't even understand the
No,
explanation.
you don't need to put words in his mouth. Just because he says I understand what you have explained doesn't mean he stands under it. It doesn't mean he agrees. Right.
You don't
he doesn't
understand
agree.
what I just said.
He just understands what you have explained. He doesn't agree with you.
So I have a question for you, Rumpus, then.
Okay. All right.
When you fire the gun,
yeah,
what is it that helps you determine whether or not the wind is affecting the trajectory and distance as opposed to...
Well, can we think of an idealized situation where there's no wind? Would that would isolate the variables here? So if we try and eliminate wind as a factor in this, then we don't need to consider it. It doesn't.
That's fine.
So, to simplify the explanation, we'll just forget about wind for a moment and just assume that the atmosphere rotates with the Earth. We've then only got two reference frames.
Okay, that's fine. That's
Okay,
fine. I would just like to reiterate that the system that you're describing is a stationary, closed system.
Well, it's not stationary. The atmosphere is rotating with the Earth.
Okay, well then we don't have to talk about the Coriolis effect at all. You now have to justify and prove.
Well, I have. Okay, and when you fire the bullet, that's then moving with respect to both the atmosphere and the surface of the Earth. Therefore, you get Coriolis effect.
Sorry, if it's moving with the atmosphere and the Earth, you don't have Coriolis effect.
With respect to...
I said with respect to... Did you understand that statement?
Yeah, if it doesn't move into a second reference frame, you don't get Coriolis.
You misunderstood. You didn't understand, did you, Nathan? I'll say it again. The bullet moves with respect to the atmosphere and the ground. Therefore, you have two reference frames, one of the bullet and one of the atmosphere and the ground. Therefore,
sorry, the atmosphere and the ground, in that instance, are the same. They're in lockstep with each other, correct?
I missed the first word. I assume you said atmosphere.
You are saying that the ground and the air are one. They are not any different. The Earth and air move together.
Correct.
Therefore, why would you have a deflection?
Because the bullet is in a different reference frame to the reference frame you just described of the ground and atmosphere.
The ball is translating in a straight line with respect to the surface of the Earth and the atmosphere.
Wait, I get it. Hold on, Nathan, I get it. You know when Eleanor closes her eyes when you want to speak to her and she closes her eyes and pretends that you're not there? She has then become her own reference point, and you have no bearing or existence on what she does at that moment. That's it. That's what it is.
Here, let's take a step back. Consider this situation. You're riding a bicycle on a long cargo ship that has a lot, or like an aircraft carrier. That aircraft carrier is moving in the ocean, say at 30 kilometers a second, and you're driving your bicycle, you're riding your bicycle on the deck of that ship in the same direction as the ship's going, say at 15 kilometers a second. Now, even though the ship is carrying you along with it, you are in a different reference frame than that ship. You have your own reference frame on the bicycle. The ship has its own reference frame. Even though you are attached to the ship, you are moving independent of the ship, and you have your reference frame. The ship has its reference frame. The same thing with the Earth and the atmosphere. The Earth and the atmosphere have their reference frame, even though the bullet is moving through the atmosphere.
Okay, I've brought this illustration up, but let's bring it down to something that we can actually, we're at the airport and there's a moving sidewalk. The moving sidewalk is going 3 miles an hour. I get on and I walk 3 miles an hour. I am now traveling at 6 miles an hour.
Correct.
With respect to the surface of the Earth that the escalate or the moving walkway is attached to. You are moving 3 miles per hour with respect to the moving walkway. The moving walkway is moving 3 miles per hour with respect to the Earth. So you, with respect to the Earth, is at 6 miles per hour.
Okay, so now, hold on.
To make a quick point.
No, Rumpus. No, you're not in this conversation, Rumpus.
Nope. Now let's turn 90 degrees, and now I'm actually facing east. So now I'm walking with the Earth. I'm now going 706 miles an hour.
Huh?
Well, so's the walkway. The ground is moving like that.
If the Earth is spinning at 700 miles an hour beneath my feet, and I get on a walkway.
Wait! Stop! You have to attach a reference point to that. Your datum, 700 miles per hour with respect to what? The axis of the Earth, the center of the Earth.
And you are as well, because you're attached to the Earth reference frame. If you don't move, you're.
I understand your system, right? I understand your system.
Well, it's not a system. The thing is, you have to understand there's no such thing as absolute velocity. All velocities are with respect, they're relative to some reference point.
Absolutely.
Like here on
that's
Earth,
that's gobbledygook. Okay, that's word salad. Okay, we're taking for granted that there is an axis. Okay, we're moving. Okay, we're moving.
We are spinning. The sphere of the Earth, the surface of the Earth, has a tangential velocity because the Earth has a
rotation,
angular velocity. It's spinning about this axis. Therefore, anyone on the surface of the Earth is moving with respect to that axis or at the center of the Earth. Yeah.
Except to the poles.
Except for the poles. Yeah.
Can't prove this though, right?
Yeah, we can. We can measure it.
How?
Foucault pendulum will tell you.
It's all the same. It's all the same. They have observations that we make. We make the same observations. The only thing that's different is they insert a spinning Earth. That's it.
You can measure it.
Sorry.
Okay.
See, that would be true.
Sorry, would it be scientific evidence? Sorry, the Foucault pendulum I've just heard. Is Foucault's pendulum a scientific evidence?
Of course.
Oh, brilliant. Do you want to break it down? Let's hear the hypothesis for the Foucault pendulum, please.
Okay.
We start with the observer phenomena bit. You've missed that bit, Nathan.
No, that's what I'm asking. What's the observed phenomenon?
The observed phenomenon is that when you swing a pendulum at different...
Hold on. We're talking about the natural world. Where would this pendulum in the natural world be?
That's an idiotic point.
Sorry, are you saying the observed phenomena is created when you build a pendulum, something man-made? So I build something to create the phenomena.
No, if you had a hanging...
Step 1, observe a phenomena. You can say ask questions if you like. Ask questions. But then you've got to establish a phenomena that you're going to try and figure out what's causing it. Well, you don't have that. You already have the experiment. This sounds a lot like Cavendish. You are conjuring the phenomena within the experiment. Why are you talking over me? Why are you talking over me, Rumpus? You are conjuring... You're doing it again. One more time and you get kicked. You are conjuring the observed phenomena in your man-made experiment to try and explain. The experiment is there to explain the phenomena, not create it.
It does. It explains things like a natural swinging thing.
Yeah, you come to the experiment after hypothesis. If your hypothesis is about the bloody experiment, you can't have observed it before hypothesis, can you?
It is a phenomenon in the physical world, and you can do experiments on it. You're trying to deny.
Sorry, it's not an experiment in the natural world. You have created it, and now you're telling me that the observed phenomena is the experiment. So you're not formulating a hypothesis and then doing the experiment. You're saying the experiment is the observed phenomena. This isn't science.
All experiments, then, Nathan. That's what you're doing now. You're saying no experiment can be doing anything because it's been created to measure and isolate variables. You idiot.
No, you first observe your phenomena. Then,
anti-experiment.
Excuse me, why is it I get 2 seconds?
Amazing.
You've just made your assertion. I let you make it. That's your last chance, Rumpus. I let you make your assertion. I started replying. Then you carried on talking. Don't do it again. You've got one last chance.
Okay.
First, you observe a phenomena, like an apple falling. Then you try and explain the phenomena you observe.
Can I speak?
With me so far?
Yeah, can I speak?
Right, so we've seen a phenomena, then we're going to formulate a hypothesis to establish what causes the phenomena. And what we will do is have a dependent variable, the thing we observed. And then we're going to... Rumpus, that's your last chance. What part of that didn't you understand?
Which bit?
Don't talk when I talk. Do you understand what I have said, Rumpus? Are you
I
a
do.
fuckwit?
Get on with it.
Don't tell me what to do. This is my hangout. When I talk, you listen to me, Rumpus. You get it?
I don't. Well, not necessarily.
Well, you don't have to, but that would make you ignorant.
No, I don't. No, we don't learn anything from you.
Oh, really?
You are a source of ignorance and stupidity that's quite incredible.
Really?
You're anti-science and you're anti-experiment.
You just ad hominem me.
The argument you've just offered
I'm
about
trying to give an explanation for what science is, and now you're talking when I've told you to shut up. You've carried on talking because you're a wanker. I was telling you to shut up because I was talking. That's not your cue to start ad hominem me, you little prick. So, I will try again. You first observe a phenomena. That would be in the hypothesis, your dependent variable, and you're going to try and figure out what causes it by independent variable, the thing you vary and manipulate to cause the effect that you observed. So, in the instance of the Foucault pendulum, you haven't observed a phenomena to formulate a hypothesis. You have already got it in the experiment step 4. So you can't formulate a hypothesis because you haven't done the experiment yet. So this is about as far removed from science as it could possibly be.
You're just denying the ability to do experiments. I cannot believe you're offering this as even a most stupid argument in
In no place did I ever deny the ability of experiments.
You are. You're denying the ability to observe a phenomenon, which you then, in an experiment, isolate.
Excellent. So you observe a phenomena and then in an experiment. So first tell me what the phenomena you observed, so you could then go forward to formulate a hypothesis. Tell me what the observed phenomena was.
It does not matter where you see a phenomenon, under what circumstances.
Sorry, tell me what the observed phenomena was, you deaf idiot.
The change in the angle of the pendulum.
Oh, so the observed phenomena is the experiment. Were you deaf or just stupid? First you observe a phenomena, then you formulate a hypothesis, and according to you,
let me help
the
Rumpus out here.
experiment.
So you're even more of a moron than
me. Here we go.
Hey, well, you're a
Rumpus.
good-looking guy from England, all right, buddy?
That's got nothing to do with it.
So listen, here's the thing, buddy.
Get on with it.
The thing is that your observed phenomenon would be the movement of the sun, which would lead you to believe that, well, you would presume that you're spinning, right?
Well, you can't know just from the rotation of the sun.
Okay, so what other observed phenomena are you coming up with, bud?
Well, I thought we were talking about the Foucault pendulum. Suddenly we're talking about the sun.
Oh, we're talking about nature and how you would decide. Like, why would you have a Foucault pendulum unless you understood the Earth spins and that you were going to calculate it?
Why
right?
would you have an experiment?
The motivation.
Why would you have an experiment without first having the question to ask in the first place? It seems like your starting point is the experiment itself, Rumpus.
What you don't understand, Nathan, is what
I'm asking you for the observed phenomena for the 3rd time. Are you going to tell me again that it's the experiment?
What you don't understand is
what you don't understand is just tell me the observed phenomena, you retard.
The rotation of the angle of the pendulum.
Oh, well, that's not an observed phenomena for you to formulate a hypothesis with. That's the experiment that you should do based on the hypothesis. So we have a bit of a circular reasoning problem here. Do you understand that circular reasoning? You're starting with a phenomena that you haven't observed and tried to explain. The experiment's the phenomena, right, Rumpus?
So you're telling me then that if someone accidentally puts up a pendulum without the motivation of doing an experiment, that counts as a natural phenomenon. But if I decide to...
No, that wouldn't count as a natural phenomena. That would count as a man-made device that someone had built, you complete retard.
It doesn't matter whether it's man-made or not.
Yeah, it does. Natural doesn't mean man-made, you spastic. It means natural. Man-made means man-made, natural means natural, you complete idiot.
It's about the physical world, you moron.
Physical and natural. Not physical or natural. What kind of a retard don't understand English? Do you not understand that physical and natural means both?
Together, yes.
Yes, both together. Natural. You complete buffoon.
When you go to the zoo, you go and see tigers.
Physical and natural.
Tigers and lions.
Physical and natural. A pendulum is in no way natural.
Together,
you idiot.
I cannot believe you don't understand set theory.
Don't go on to theory. We're sticking with physical and natural. Is
Right,
a pendulum physical and natural.
That doesn't mean to say it's both at the same time.
So physical and natural doesn't mean and natural. It means or natural, does it, you dick?
Yes, if I...
No, and does not mean or. You seem to be struggling with English because you're retarded. Let me explain it to you, retard. And means in combination with, or does not. You retard. Why am I having to explain simple English like and or to a retard? That's
don't
you.
Understand what a set is, do you? You don't
I understand what and means. What does and mean?
The English language.
What does and mean?
So if I say something is from the natural world...
What does and mean? It's a simple question, Rumpus. Tell me what the word and means.
What is wrong with you, Rumpus?
What does and mean?
Different. Right, I'll tell you. There are two different definitions of the word and. One in logic, when you say, I want this and that equals true. And then there's the set theory definition.
Sorry, I want this and that equals true is nonsense. What are you talking about?
You don't understand logic then. Okay, you're that stupid. Right, as normal when you use and in logical and philosophical terms, that means the two things have to be true. So for instance, if I say, I have a dog and I have a cat. No, that's set theory, actually. That would be true. No, you say the statement would be I have a dog and a cat is true, and that would be the logical and. When you're doing set theory, when you say I go to see some animals and I see some lions and some chimpanzees, that doesn't mean to say that I've seen an animal that is a lion and chimpanzee. It means I've seen the set of chimpanzees and I've seen the set of lions. So you can do both. They can have. You don't have to have seen. There's no stroke and in the sense of a lion and a chimpanzee animal. Similarly, when you say the study of the science is the study of the natural world and the physical world. No,
it doesn't say that. It says natural and physical world. You've changed the definition for some reason.
No, you've changed. You don't understand
natural and physical.
You don't understand what and set theory definition. You don't have the English
I know what the word and means.
You don't understand what and means. No, you don't understand what and means. No.
Used as a function word to indicate connection.
That's right, but
right. So natural and physical means they are connected.
And when you use the term the study of the natural world and the physical world, that means you can study.
They don't say the study of the physical world and the natural world. They say the physical and natural world. You've changed the definition again. Why are you so disingenuous? Why are you changing definitions, Rumpus? That's not the definition.
You don't understand what and means, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I do understand what it means. I've just given you the definition.
Anyway, the point is that science does include just the study of the physical world.
No, it doesn't. It's the physical and natural world. You are a liar, Rumpus. Do you want to get me up a citation that says it is only the physical world?
You don't understand the meaning of and.
Sorry, go and get me a citation that specifically says science only studies the physical world, not natural.
I didn't say it's an only.
Right. That's because it says and. Physical and natural.
The meaning of and.
Let's just round this out, you stupid idiot. Physical and natural world is what we're studying. A Foucault pendulum's man-made.
You can study the physical world,
man-made.
And you can study the natural world.
Yeah, we can, but we're going to be studying the physical and natural world, and a pendulum doesn't fit into that bracket.
That is that in the subset of.
Now you're just stuttering. A bracket that it doesn't fit into. You have a pendulum. It's not natural. Okay? And what we are studying is the physical and natural world in combination, together, not and or, because that's not what it's defined as. It's not and or one or the other. It's and. Simply physical and natural.
You don't understand the meaning of the word and. It's incredible. The point is the science, you can generate any phenomenon you like in an experiment or anywhere you like and then study it and say, oh, why is that happening? And that's how we discover things like atoms, electrons.
The scientific method is not to generate phenomena. It is to observe phenomena.
And that phenomena could be something that you have generated.
No, you observe a natural phenomena, not create one of your own, because the cause of that phenomena would be you making it, you complete idiot. You don't need a science experiment to figure out that you've made something.
As opposed to supernatural, Nathan.
Sorry, you don't need an experiment to figure out why the pendulum's there. You built it.
Anything that's not supernatural.
Do you know what the cause of pendulum is? Man building it, you idiot.
When you build the pendulum, that's supernatural, Rumpus. When you build the pendulum, that's supernatural.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Okay,
Jesus Christ.
Rumpus.
Jesus Christ.
Listen.
How can
Okay,
you say
stop
that sort of
swearing.
thing? How
Will
can
you listen
say
to
that?
me?
How
I
can
will
you say that?
explain it. I will explain it.
Let's just give a full definition for the word and. Used as a function word to indicate connection or addition, especially of items within the same class or type. Used to join sentence elements of the same grammatical rank or function.
Now, it has several definitions, Nathan, one of which is to do with sets, and that's how we use it when we say,
I've just
I went
read
to see
it
the...
off Merriam-Webster. I've just read it. Now I'm being told there's other definitions. I specifically asked you to go and get one. You didn't.
Okay, I'll go and get the set theory definition for you. Okay.
Bro, what do you mean set theory? We're doing science, not set theory.
Set, the word and we were discussing the meaning of
We
the word...
are discussing the meaning of the scientific method. The science that we are studying is the physical...
And you
Shut
got
up!
the definition
Shut
from the
up!
word and.
We are talking about science, the physical and natural world. That's what we're talking about. Not set theory. The context for physical and natural is not set theory. You dingbat.
And the and there is used in set theory terms.
No, it's used in conjunction with the word physical and natural.
Correct, and those are sets of things.
Right, we're not having a theory about them. They're just grouped together by the word and.
You don't understand the meaning of the word and.
I just read it out from Merriam-Webster. I do understand it. I just read it.
There are several meanings to the word and, some in logic, some in set theory, and you go look at... Okay, let's go look at...
And there's some in sentence structure. That's the one I read. And in the sentence, we have an and. It is between the word physical and natural, indicating they are connected in the sentence. Together.
That's correct. And
Yes! Finally, a concession from Rumpus the Idiot. So it is physical and natural. Together.
No, yes, and the sense...
No, not no yes, just yes. Physical and natural. You can argue all day because your pendulum isn't natural. You can talk all over me all day because your pendulum's man-made. Therefore, the cause of it is a man bloody baking it.
If I say I went to see the zebras and the chimpanzees...
Do you want to know the cause of your pendulum? I'll tell you. A man made it.
Doesn't matter. That's still...
It does. That's the cause. You want to know the cause of pendulum? A man made it.
No, that's not the cause.
Yeah, it is. Without the man making it, you wouldn't have the pendulum, you complete dick. Are you really this retarded? The cause of that pendulum was a man building it.
Not necessarily.
Yes, it was. It didn't come into existence by magical unicorn farts. A man put it together.
So if you had a swinging stick, Nathan, that did exactly the same thing, that would be also man-made, would it? No, it wouldn't, of course. What a
Gentlemen, this
argument.
is silly.
Sorry,
really
excuse me.
stupid
Sorry,
argument
if
you're
a
doing.
stick
You're
did it.
desperate, Nathan.
Sorry,
Really
excuse me. If a stick did it.
Yeah, so a stick could do the same thing as a pendulum, yeah? So
Do you want to show me that?
Hanging twine could do the same
Do you want to
thing.
show me that?
I don't have to. It's the principle I'm explaining.
Why would you bring that up as an example? Why would you bring up an actual...
principle.
I've got a question. Why would you bring up an actual natural phenomena? Why would you do that?
Because you're an idiot. You don't understand that.
Not because I'm an idiot. I've pointed out for the last 10 minutes that it's the physical and natural world. Then you've agreed tentatively, then said yes but no. Now you're directing my attention to a potentially naturally observed phenomena.
It doesn't matter if you've created...
It does matter. You've just done it. You've said, what about a twig? Well, that could be potentially a naturally observed phenomena, couldn't it, Rumpus? Not a pendulum that a man made, because I've ripped that a new asshole. The cause of pendulum is man making the pendulum. The cause of twig, that could be a naturally observed phenomena, couldn't it now, Rumpus? That's why you've gone to it. If it wasn't a necessity to be natural, you wouldn't be taking our attention to a dangling twig.
Would you say that any...
Don't ask me a question. I'm making assertions. Rumpus understands science. He understands that it's physical and natural. He wants to dissect the word and, but ultimately he's now directing our attention to a potentially naturally observed phenomena. I don't know why he'd do that. According to Rumpus, it's only physical, like pendulums that man makes.
And why won't you just bring up the sun, Rumpus?
I'll tell you, because he's a fuckwit.
Well, there's an answer. But,
You're an idiot, Rumpus. Oh, is he dropped? What a coward.
Hello there. Someone here just before you got into it with Rumpus here, Nathan, was asking about velocities, and we were starting to talk about that. And which member was that?
That was me.
Hello.
Who is me?
I'm the letter M. My name's
ISX.
Kravis.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Yeah. If you could give me a minute here, if you were to say stand on the shore of a beach at nighttime and look up into the heavens and see the movement of the lights, which we call stars, moving by, and if this is, say, your only world, you don't travel around, yeah, there'd be no way to differentiate whether you are standing on a stationary Earth and the objects that you see, the lights in the sky, are moving, whether to you it seems like they are moving. But
Okay.
another way of looking at it is that they are stationary and the Earth is moving, that you're standing on. If that is your only observation, there would be no way to differentiate which is the correct description.
Except for I would take issue with that because I would not only have the ability to discern with my eyes that the heavens seem to be moving, but I would also have the rest of my faculties, which would clearly demonstrate that I was stationary.
What is that?
I have a big thing with the axial rotation.
No, we don't need to bring
No,
up anything
hold
else,
on,
Jim. There's
hold
no
on,
reason
Jimbo.
for
Sorry,
Jim.
hold on. Can you
Jimbo,
just let it be George and
Jimbo,
Travis,
there's no
please?
reason for you to talk, Jimbo.
Just let it be Travis and George if you can.
Okay.
Okay.
Just follow me on this. If you're standing
I'm
on
following you.
Okay, you're standing on the shore, you're looking at the sky, the movement, the apparent movement of the sky, you cannot tell, you'd not be able to differentiate which is the correct description, whether you're on the stationary Earth and the objects are moving, or you are moving and the objects are fixed. No way to differentiate between
I disagree. I disagree.
Okay, well, tell me how you would, just without traveling or doing anything else, how you would differentiate which is the correct description.
In my world of empirical determination, I know when I'm moving. My body can sense it. Whenever there's a change in direction or acceleration or whatever.
Oh, I disagree with that. Suppose you are in a trolley or a car, and you're moving down the highway at a constant velocity. There's no change of direction. You're just going at a constant speed, say 50 kilometers an hour. You close your eyes, and as long as there's no jostling, you're not going over any bumps. If you're on a perfectly smooth road, you would not be able to know that you are moving.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I just ask a very quick question, George? Is that okay?
I'm sorry?
I just want to ask George a quick question, if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the car is analogous to the Earth then, right?
For the most part, it is. The thing is
excellent.
that the Earth
thank you.
is
The yes was all
large
I needed.
enough.
Sorry,
Okay.
just bear with me. There's a supplementary question. I'm really sorry, George. So, the car's an open-top car then, like the Earth?
Pardon? The what?
The car is an open-top car, no lid, like the Earth, right?
Oh, no. I'm not saying. Oh, now if you have an open.
Sorry, I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you to give a new example, George. I'm asking you to give clarity on your example you've already made. I waited for you to stop. So, like the Earth, the car in your example is an open car, isn't it, George? You seem to have gone very quiet.
The car is moving through the atmosphere. The atmosphere is being carried with the Earth, so there is no relative movement.
Sorry, the car is analogous to the Earth. I clarified this with you, George. Did you not hear me? Are you senile? Did you forget that I said that?
No, I'm not senile.
Right, I explained. I clarified. The car is analogous to the Earth. Yes, you said. Then I said I had a supplementary question. If it's analogous to the Earth, we're not talking about...
I'll tell you what's analogous to the Earth is not the open-top car, but the atmosphere.
Sorry, George. Right, I'll say it one more time. It's simple. If it's going to be compared to the Earth, it will be an open-top car, George.
The Earth is not like an open-top car. No.
Oh, so the Earth is a closed system with a lid.
I didn't say that.
You said it's not like the open-top car.
No, you're not listening.
I'm going to ask you another direct question. You are going to answer me, okay? The open system of Earth is comparable to an open-top car. You have asserted you wouldn't feel anything.
Car.
Right. Why are you talking over me?
Because you're not letting me speak.
I am directing my question to you. You will listen. The Earth is... Shh! The Earth is, according to heliocentric religion, an open system. Isn't it, George?
It's not analogous to an open-top
Sorry,
car.
that's not my question. I'll say it again for the senile old man who can't comprehend English. One more time. The Earth, in the heliocentric religion, is an open system. Isn't it,
No.
George?
No. Well,
So-
it all depends.
Sorry, was that... Shut up! Everyone shut up!
No, wait. If you're considering the Earth with the atmosphere, no, you can consider that to be a closed system.
Oh, so it's closed?
The air, the atmosphere with the Earth, you can consider that system together as
I don't want to know what I can consider it. I want a simple answer. Can men leave Earth and go to the moon or not? Is it open or is it closed, George?
Well, it's closed if you consider the moon in the system.
Sorry, no. Not the moon. The Earth, George. Did I say the car is analogous to the Earth and the moon system combined? Are you senile again? Is this a problem with your comprehension skills? Let's just say it a third time for the deaf, senile man. The Earth, George. The Earth, George. Hello, George. The Earth is a closed system now. Is that right?
Nathan, he still thinks it's the 20th century, mate.
Shut up, Ranty.
Oh, Ranty, go.
Shut up, Ranty. Why did you just do that? Shut up. So, are you now telling us that the Earth... why are you talking over me? Shut up.
You have your
Shut
car.
up. I still haven't got an answer. Tell me whether or not Earth is closed or open. Who's muting him?
I don't know.
mute him.
Somebody's muting me.
Don't mute him. I just want an answer to my question. You haven't given one. Is it closed? Not we can view it as, not you can take it as. Is it or isn't it closed?
Whether the system is open and closed depends upon the problem that you're trying to
No, it doesn't. We're talking about bloody reality, you stupid old man.
answer to that.
Hold on, why do you want
Shut
to
up.
have it both ways?
Shut up. Is it closed or is it open? I want a concise answer.
I'm saying
It can't.
You have to give me the problem that you want to analyze. whether or
No,
not-
we don't have an Earth that is dependent on your stupid problems.
the galaxies in the entirety.
How many times do I have to ask you this question? Are you senile? I have asked you
No,
the
I'm
same
not
question
senile.
over and
I'm
over
telling
again.
you, you don't
You won't give me an
understand
answer.
what open
It's
and
clear.
closed systems
Shut
mean.
up. Do you understand my question?
I'm not going to answer it.
Why not?
because it's-
Why not? It's a simple question about the heliocentric belief that you have. Why won't you answer the question? This is a new question.
Because it's nonsensical.
I want to know if the Earth is an open or closed system when you're telling us about a closed car analogy and now it's
You have to
not
give me a
relevant.
question.
Stop it, George, you prick. Stop talking over me. Oh, you think this is funny, do you? Because when there's a problem with
because you
your...
don't
You're doing it
understand what
again,
open and
dick.
closed mean.
You're doing it again, you old dick. When you have a problem with your system, you don't want to tell me if it's open or closed. That seems very disingenuous.
I can't answer that question because
Oh, really? You can't answer whether Earth is open or closed?
you have not defined the question properly.
Is Earth open or closed?
Again, it depends on the problem at hand, whether or
No,
not you.
it's not dependent on anything. It's a simple, straightforward question, you blithering old idiot. Why are you so senile? Why don't you just give me an answer to the question?
You're not
Is
understanding what
Earth
open and
closed
closed
or
mean.
not?
There's no correct answer to that.
Yeah, there is. It's either closed or it isn't closed.
No, it isn't. No, it's relative to the problem at hand.
No, it
Some-
isn't. You can't have a box that is both open and closed simultaneously. It is either open or closed, like the car. You understand the difference between an open top car and a closed car?
Those are different.
Yeah, Like the Earth would be different if it was open and different if it was closed, and I want to know which one it is.
But you can't open and close the Earth with the atmosphere. You can't
so which
put
one
a
is
lid
it?
on it
So
and
which
take
one
the
is
lid
it?
off.
So which one is it? Don't sigh and laugh, you pathetic old twat. Tell me the answer.
I can't give you the answer because...
Yeah, we know, because it doesn't work, does it? You can't simultaneously have the situation where they have the Earth travelling along with the atmosphere in an open system, can you, George? So it needs to be closed in that circumstance, doesn't it, George?
Let's move on to something else.
No, let's
I'm
not move
gonna
on,
get
you old
stuck
prick.
in the mud here with
No,
Nathan,
you can't
one sec.
tell me whether it's open or closed because you need it to be closed for this example, don't you, George?
No, I don't. No, I
Oh,
do
really?
not.
So why did you start with a closed car then?
Because
Don't sigh! You piss me off royally, you pathetic little liar. You are a disingenuous liar. You can't have your fantasy world both ways, you old prick.
I want to answer it for you. Do you not want me to answer the question?
Yeah, I'll repeat it then. Is Earth open or closed?
No, that's not what you just asked me. You asked...
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm asking you. I'm asking you very specifically, is it open or is it closed? Because it can't be both. It has to be one or the other.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, so why did you give us an example of a closed car?
Because that's what is analogous to the Earth.
So it's closed then, like the car. It's a closed system like the car example, right, George?
Give me a chance. You're obfuscating here.
No, I'm asking a straightforward question. No obfuscation whatsoever. Is Earth open? Simple. I'll make it even shorter for you. Is Earth open? Yes or no?
Nathan, do you want to present my screen? I'll help you with the answer.
No, I don't. I want George to continually obfuscate it, showing how pathetic he is every time I ask him a simple question and he laughs. I want to show just how pathetic George is. You can't give me an answer. Are you really that poorly educated in your religion? Don't you know if it's open or closed?
Well,
I can
Nathan,
give you an answer to a well-posed question, but you
Also,
have to pose your question
did you say
properly.
it was moving in a
George,
straight
give me a
line,
minute.
but the Earth doesn't move? It doesn't rotate. Doesn't it rotate?
Why?
It doesn't
Why?
go in a
Why
straight
can't I
line.
just get an answer? Why is everyone piling in on my exceptional point that George can't answer and won't
You've
answer?
already crushed it. You've already crushed the point.
I've pressed it and he hasn't given me an answer, Isa. Does that mean it's your turn?
No, I'm saying he just.
Right, so shut up until I get an answer.
Come on, brother.
Shut up! So, George, is it open or closed? I'll make it a closed question. Is the Earth open? Yes or no?
Huh. Let's see. Is it white or black? Which
No,
is
that's not the question, you complete retard. Clearly you're senile. I say is it open or closed and you repeat a different question back to me. That tells me you're deaf or senile.
You
Are
have
you
to tell
senile?
me-
Why is it that I say is it open or closed and you repeat back a totally different question? Have you lost the plot? Have you not taken your medicine today?
No.
Well, repeat the question back to me, you old git. Don't laugh and sigh, you senile old git. Repeat the question back to me. That's you laughing and sighing again.
Yeah.
So
Is it
repeat the
open or
question back
closed,
to me.
Nathan?
I gave you
You
a very
tell me.
concise question. Repeat it.
I'm not going to repeat anything. I don't need to.
That's because you can't answer it, you pathetic old man.
I can answer it. If
So,
you...
okay, excellent. Where... Brilliant. We've got to a point where Georgie said he can answer it. Is Earth open, yes or no?
No, I said I can answer it if you pose the question properly.
Okay. Please, can you answer my question with sugar on top? Is Earth open, yes or no?
That's not proper.
Sorry. I couldn't have asked it any more politely. I couldn't have asked it any more properly. It's a closed question. We have Earth. We live on it. Whether or not it's open or closed should be on the tip of your tongue if you have a concise knowledge of what you believe you live on.
State a problem correctly.
George, can you tell us what the proper...
Yeah, no
Can you
problem.
tell
I
us
can
what
do
the
that. Why is
proper
someone else
way
talking?
of question-
No
of-
problem.
of the question?
No. Why are
who's
you
this speaking?
talking when I'm talking to George? I'll tell you the problem, George. I believe that you can't have gas pressure in an open system. So I would like to know if Earth is open or closed.
All I was trying to do was help.
You said give me a problem. Now I want a yes or no answer. I'll repeat it for the senile, deaf George, who doesn't understand and can't give answers after a simple question. I'll repeat it. I have a problem, George. You said pose it with a problem. I don't understand how you can have gas pressure without a container. I would like to know if the Earth is closed.
You want to know, I mean, so many people have tried explaining this to you as how atmospheric pressure, atmospheric density
George, it was
has
a yes or
gradient
no
that
question.
it
George,
thins out as you go up in altitude.
that's why I asked you to repeat it back to me. It was a yes or no answer with a problem attached as you specified. I'll repeat it again. Just for you, George. I understand you have comprehension problems. Right. My problem. I don't understand how you can have gas pressure without a container. Is Earth closed? Yes or no?
I can only answer it on the first part of your problem. Can a system have pressure without a container? I'll answer that.
That's not my question.
The second
That's
part,
not my question. Don't pick what part of the question. The question was very direct. You said you needed it alongside a problem. Presumably that's so you could obfuscate my question and then answer the problem that I posed alongside it. Right, George? My question's simple. Is Earth closed? Yes or no?
Not in the sense that you have a container around it.
So it does have a container?
No, it does not.
So it doesn't have a container?
It does not have a barrier. It does not have a dome above it. No.
It doesn't have a container, so it is an open system, correct?
In that sense that you want to use it, yes.
Not in that sense.
An open system.
It's a yes or no question, George.
The problem at
George,
hand. If all you're considering
George,
is
hello?
that space and atmosphere, you can say it's an open system. But if I want to start talking about balls in trajectory being thrown, projectiles being thrown.
Oh, like bullets and balls, those sorts of things. So what you're saying is, George, when you need to talk about Coriolis effect, you need it to be a closed system. Is that right?
No, it doesn't have to be.
You just said when talking about trajectories, we can assume that it's a closed system. That's what you just said.
That's what he needs it to be, Nathan, yeah. His phrase was, it depends on what point you're trying to make. So he will make it. He'll change it to a closed system if it suits, and he'll change it to an open system if it suits.
No, Riley, it's not if it suits you.
I'll ask you another direct question, George. George.
Look,
we're talking about. Okay, I've got a different problem, George. George, you're talking a lot now. You've lots of silences when I ask a question. Then when I talk, you want to talk. So I've got a different question. We're talking about the trajectory of a bullet, George, just like you specified. Now I'd like to know, is Earth open, yes or no?
Into this open and closed thing. You don't need to talk about that.
I am talking about it.
Force.
I am talking about it. I am talking about it. Don't tell me what I need to talk about. Excuse me, who do you think you are, George? You don't tell me what I need to think about or talk about. I am talking about it. I've given you what you asked for. A problem along with the question. My problem is about trajectories, bullets. So I need to know, before we can move on, is it open?
Rumpus explained it
you're talking over me again, George. Is it because you're annoyed and you're on the ropes, my friend? Why are you talking over me again, George? You're very rude, George. You're talking over me, George. George, why are you doing this, George? Yeah, if Red Redrick's listening, this is what I get, Red. This is what I have to deal with. This is not an echo chamber. This is George talking all over me, Red. This is the shit I have to deal with, Red. This is what you're scared of, is it, Red? You having the ability to talk all over me, Red Rhetoric, like George is doing? Is that what you're afraid of? Coming here on my open platform when people can talk all over me like George is doing? Is that what you're scared of, Red Rhetoric? You pathetic piece of shit. That's why I call you my bitch. Because I've got an open platform where George can talk all over me while I absolutely annihilate him. Yeah? So, George, the question in hand, is Earth open?
That is not relevant to the discussion here.
It is. Absolutely relevant. You've just told me that it depends on whether or not we're talking about trajectories. So we are talking about trajectories, and I'm asking the same question. You've never given an answer. I've given you whether or not we've got gas pressure. You didn't give an answer. Now we're talking trajectories. You won't give an answer. Why? Why, George?
I'm trying to give you an answer, but you won't let me.
Okay, I'll ask the question again. Let's see if I get a concise answer. It's very specifically a yes or a no answer. Is Earth open? Yes or no? Yeah, you see, you've done it again, George. I asked the question, and you sighed and you laughed. You didn't give me an answer. You said you would answer if I gave you an opportunity. I did, and you laughed.
No, I said it's just like Schrodinger's cat. It can be both, and observation will tell you which one it is.
No.
The wave function will collapse.
Oh, really? So we can observe whether it's open or closed, can we?
Yeah, it depends on the problem.
Oh, really? So again, it depends on the problem. So you've just asserted we just have to observe whether it's open or closed. And I've asked, can we observe it? And now it's back to this metaphysics of it depends on the problem.
Yeah, I don't like this metaphysics road that you like to go down.
That's what you're going down, you complete dingbat. You're telling us it's both open and closed depending on the problem. That's you, not me.
I'm trying to explain Coriolis force, and you're...
Excellent. Tell me if Earth is open or closed first, so we can establish the effects that may or may not happen in regards to the Coriolis effect. Is it open or closed?
You don't need to go down that road to talk.
I am going down that road. How many times have I got to say it? You don't have to tell me what I can and can't do or what I will and won't do. I'm doing
telling
it.
You what you can.
I'm doing it, and it's demolishing you, George. It's ripping you a new one in front of quite a substantial number of people. You can't answer because you need to have your cake and eat it. You need it open and closed because it's a problem with your model, isn't it, George? Big problem.
Not a problem with the model.
Big problem. For trajectories, you need it closed. For travelling to the moon, you need it open. That's a big problem because it's a contradiction, my friend. Shout out to Flat Earth Dude. Thank you very much for the super chat. They always roll in when I hand Globers their own arsehole like I'm doing with George right now. That's when people give me money. When I absolutely destroy people like you, George. When you can't answer a simple question, yes or no. Is Earth open? That's your answer. Crap.
No, do you want to talk about Coriolis effect and get
yes,
this
please.
straightened out or not?
Yes, please. I'd like to talk about the Coriolis effect. First, we must establish, are we talking about Earth open or Earth closed? Which one is Earth?
Well, we're not going to go anywhere with that.
Oh, why not? You said it was specific to trajectories, the open-closed bit. Now we're talking about Coriolis. That's trajectories, isn't it?
No, you're the one that's going down this road.
You said trajectories. You were the one who brought it up, not me. Why are you accusing me of...
trajectories?
Are you really so senile that you think I've said what you've said? You're really losing the plot, George. I didn't say that. You did. You're losing the plot, mate. You seem to can't remember what you're saying and you think I've said it. I think you're definitely showing various signs of senility. Yeah, you can laugh it off, mate, but this isn't my argument. You said whether it's closed or open is in regards to the problem. For example, trajectories. That would be your words,
no, you're the
not
one
mine.
That introduced this
yeah, this is the route you took us down, George. You senile old git. Not me.
No, you're somehow trying to interject this open and close into the discussion, which is entirely not needed in the purposes of talking about Coriolis effects.
You specifically said that open and closed is only relevant when you talk about trajectories. Those were your words, you senile old git. Now, you're telling me that it's not relevant to trajectories. So why wouldn't it be relevant when you've specifically told us? Why are you talking over me? Why are you talking over me?
The only way I can get any words in.
No. I want you to tell me if Earth is open or closed because you have specifically said that in relevant to trajectories, that's the kind of problem that closed or open is relevant.
No, I didn't say that. You went there.
Oh, really? What I'm going to do for you, senile old... Excuse me! What I'll do for you, senile old git, is I'll edit out where you said that and I will publish it with you denying it. So, you've got one choice and one chance to either correct what you have just said or be labelled a liar. Again.
Okay, label me a liar. Let's move on.
So you did lie. So you did absolutely assert that trajectories were regards to open and closed. And now you've said you haven't, so you lied, George.
No, I didn't say that.
Sorry, let's get it clear. Did you or did you not assert that trajectories were relevant to open or closed systems?
Not in those words. No, you're the one.
Sorry, so not in those words? That's a bit weaselly.
You're the one that married the two together. I did not.
Sorry, you specifically said that you can only answer a question in regards to whether or not it's open or closed if you have a problem. For example, trajectories. No, I said if you have you didn't let me finish again. You decided to hijack my point. Why? Is it because you're losing badly and you can't just simply answer if Earth is open or closed, George?
Here. I just don't want to go down this road of open and
closed. I know. That's why I'm going down it, George. I know you don't want to define if it's open or closed because it's a contradiction with your model. It doesn't work. It destroys where you think you live, on a spinning ball with space, which would require a barrier. You're doing it again, George. You're doing it again.
Nathan,
this is what you globers do. This is what Red Rhetoric would be doing right now. This is what Red Rhetoric would be doing. This is why he doesn't want to come here, because he doesn't want to get demolished, right? Don't talk over me, George. Don't talk over me. Yeah, you're free to do it, but just don't. Yeah? Having the problem of it needing to be closed and open at the same time destroys your paradigm. You can't have it both ways, George. It must be one or the other. It doesn't depend on the problem.
Again, the crux of the whole problem on this Coriolis that Rumpus explained to you, and I explained to you in my comment to you on that video last night, was the fact that you somehow seem to be incapable of understanding that a projectile in free flight in the atmosphere, as it travels through the atmosphere, is not attached to the atmosphere, that the atmosphere has its reference frame, that projectile in free flight has its own reference frame.
Sorry, you just said the atmosphere has its own reference frame, George. So is that correct, or was that a misspeak? So does the atmosphere have its own reference frame, as you've just said?
With respect to that projectile, yes, it does.
So it has its own reference frame. So we have the atmosphere.
And that reference
Sorry,
frame
George.
Is the same as
George, I'll let you
surface.
speak. So the atmosphere is a separate reference frame
from a projectile,
but not from the Earth.
Through it, yes.
So it's attached to the Earth.
The reference frame of the atmosphere, yes, can be considered attached to the surface of the Earth.
So it's the same as the Earth.
Well, they're
same reference frame as the Earth, George. It's simple yes or no. Same as the Earth, yes?
Well, it's not the same in the sense that it's the same material.
Oh, is this a bit like and with Rumpus? Is it the same or isn't it? Why do we get you double speaking, George?
Because I know you're going to go and run.
Let's just ask it again. Here we go. You wanted to talk about Coriolis, so I am. And again, you're getting beaten. So you're talking over me again. Yet again, George gets to talk. Now he's talking all over me because he's a senile old git. Thank you, George. I'll continue talking. I'll continue talking and you'll be quiet.
Earth's surface and the atmosphere are one and the same in terms of dealing with Coriolis.
Now can I respond, George? So the atmosphere and the ground are the same reference frame. So yesterday, okay. Yes. Can I talk without you just constantly interrupting and confirming? Do it at the end, George. That's called a conversation. I'll speak, then you speak. So yesterday you detailed that the gun is attached to the Earth reference frame.
Yes.
Excellent. And the atmosphere is the same reference frame.
As the gun attached to the Earth, yes, and the atmosphere are the same reference frame.
Right. So, like the ball thrown from the roundabout, the gun is going to fire in a straight line, correct? Very simple question.
Okay, yes. Yeah, okay, sure.
So, its trajectory is a straight line, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So, if it's in a straight line... Excuse me, I haven't finished.
No,
Shut up! Shut up, you senile old git! I haven't finished talking! Shut your mouth! So, shut up! Shut up!
No,
For the love of God, Shut your mouth. I haven't finished. So,
Go ahead.
the bullet is travelling in a straight line from the gun. The atmosphere is attached to the Earth and is the same reference frame. So we have no deflection.
No. How can you say that?
The gun fires the bullet in a straight line, George.
Yes.
Through the atmosphere that is
But
the
the
same.
Earth
Shut up!
and the atmosphere
Shut
are moving
up!
relative
Shut
to that-
up! How many times have I got to do this? With me screaming at you to stop talking over me. So, all of the reference frame is one. The atmosphere and the Earth. The bullet is fired. Its trajectory is a straight line. Therefore, there is no deviation because there's no second reference frame. It's just travelling in a straight line, George. We don't observe any deflection, George.
That's the problem you have that Rumpus was trying to tell you.
That's
and
not
I've
a
been
problem
trying to
I
tell you.
have.
The
That's a
minute
problem
that
you
bullet-
have.
See,
You are describing no deflection. The gun fires the bullet in a straight line. The reference frame you're standing on and the atmosphere it fires through are the same. So there's no Coriolis effect.
Yes, there is.
Why?
And let me
Why?
explain. I'll tell
What's
you
the
why.
second reference frame? Is the second reference frame...
Well, will
the
you shut
Is
up?
the second reference frame the straight line that the bullet travels in?
Let me explain it to you.
I'm asking, is it the straight line? Is that the second reference frame? It was yesterday.
Bullet leaves the muzzle of the gun. It has now become its own reference frame.
Excellent, and that's a straight line. That's a straight trajectory from the gun.
The gun and the atmosphere.
So it's a straight line,
reference frame
George.
Number one.
Straight line, right? George, you're not listening to me. It's travelling in a straight line, correct?
Number two.
It's travelling in a straight line. The bullet comes out the gun in a straight line, doesn't it?
With respect to itself. Not with respect to the Earth, not with respect to the atmosphere, not with respect to the gun. The Earth, the gun,
with respect to itself, what are you talking about? This is double speak, George. It's got to be in reference to something else, hasn't it?
No, it's not double speak. The Earth, the
You're
gun...
saying in reference to itself, it's got its own reference frame. No, it's travelling in a straight line, George. If it's deviating, it's because it's in a different reference frame to the spinning Earth. If it's not in a different reference frame to the spinning Earth, then it's not going to deviate.
The bullet is not in the same reference frame as the Earth, the atmosphere, and the gun. The instant it leaves the muzzle of the gun, it has now entered a new reference frame. Its own
Why
reference frame.
does it? What reference frame does it have?
It has a translational reference frame. A reference frame, it's moving in a straight direction, which we call translational motion. In a straight line.
You're mistaking the trajectory of the bullet as a reference frame.
No, I'm not mistaking anything. That bullet is in its own reference frame with respect to
the reference frame of Earth. Come on, a 5-year-old gets this.
No, apparently not.
No, apparently so.
The gun fires a bullet in a straight line, it comes out. If there is no change of reference frame, then it just travels in a straight line. Its trajectory is a straight line. However, if the Earth turns and the atmosphere is a separate reference frame, we'll see a Coriolis deflection.
See, the point you're missing here is the instant that bullet leaves the muzzle of the gun, it is now traveling in a straight line with respect to the axis of the Earth. The axis about what the Earth turns. That bullet is going in a straight line. But now the surface of the Earth, the gun, and the atmosphere are moving with respect. They're rotating in a rotational motion with respect to the axis of the Earth. So now that bullet, when it's in free flight, has an apparent drift, an apparent deflection with respect to the surface of the Earth and the gun in the atmosphere. The instant it leaves
bullshit on top of bullshit.
Own new
So if things
so you're
are
saying
free
that it's
flight,
not
so
in a
what
reference
counts
frame
as
in
free
atmosphere?
flight, George? What
I
counts
just
as free
said it's a reference frame.
What
The
counts
bullet's
as
in its own reference
George?
frame. It's in a reference frame
You've got
that is
verbal
in
diarrhea
translational
again.
motion with
George,
respect to the
hello.
axis of the
George,
Earth.
you've got verbal
Hey,
diarrhea
Nathan.
again. Hello. Sing the hangout.
Nathan,
George.
doesn't this bring a problem with airplanes and helicopters standing on the air?
Just about to ask that.
That's powered flight. That's different. That's not free flight.
Oh, that's not free flight?
Well, what's the difference?
It's not free flight. That's not trajectory. That's not
What's the
trajectory
difference?
motion or
Oh,
free
sorry.
flight
So
motion.
hold
The
on.
problem-
Let's just
the
get it clear,
difference
George.
there
Hold on.
is
Can you
have
all stop
wings.
talking at once, George? So what's a ball being thrown on the roundabout?
What is the ball? Is
Okay,
it
that sounds like you don't know the answer. You're repeating my question back
Atmosphere.
to me.
I'm asking. I have to have a little more clarification of the problem. Are you rolling the ball
Throwing
on
the
the
ball.
roundabout
Throwing the
out
ball.
from the center of the
Throwing the
roundabout,
ball.
or are you throwing it in the air?
What
Yeah,
about
throwing the
helicopter?
ball from a roundabout. I've given the example many times.
I'm sorry, somebody talked over you.
Yeah. Throwing the
Helicopter.
ball from a spinning roundabout. Is that free flight?
Okay, so you're saying you're throwing it in the air, correct?
Yeah, how many times have I got to say it? On a roundabout, throw a ball. Is that too
Well, I
complex
know
for
what
you?
you mean by throwing. Are you throwing
Sorry,
it
is
along
this
the
too
roundabout
complicated
or
for you,
rolling
George?
along
Why
the
would you need to
roundabout, or are you
obfuscate this
throwing it-
question? I don't really understand why you're obfuscating me right now, George. It's a very simple question.
You have to be precise with your language when you're talking about
I
physics.
am.
Are you throwing it in the air? Yes.
Yes. How many bloody times do I have to say yes? Throwing it.
Or... Okay. All right. Yes. Then it's in free flight.
Oh, really? So when we had the roundabout example, the atmosphere was the separate reference frame.
Huh?
Huh? Yeah, that's right. That's the reaction I like to hear.
Roundabout
Sorry, I
doesn't
was in the
carry
middle of talking again,
atmosphere
George.
with
You went,
it like the Earth
which
does.
indicates you don't understand. So now you shut up and you get an explanation from me. Yeah, you can laugh it up,
No,
mate.
see, the point
Shut
you're missing is
up.
you have a roundabout
Shut
that's spinning
up,
in
rumpus.
the atmosphere.
Why are
The
you rumpusing
roundabout
me again,
doesn't carry
asshole?
an
Is this to
atmosphere
demonstrate
with
to
it like
Red's
the Earth
rhetoric
does.
the kind of shit I have to deal with from you assholes? Yeah? Red's rhetoric's terrified of coming here. Do you realise that, George?
I don't care.
Yeah, I
So
do.
what?
I do. I've got an open platform where assholes like you can obfuscate my point continually. So I'm going to try and make my point. If you interrupt, I'll
Okay,
shout
make
at
your
you.
point.
No,
Make
don't
your
give me
point.
permission. This is my show. So that just means shut up, George. It's not subtle.
Hey, get on with it. Make
No,
your point.
again, not subtle. My show. You don't tell me what to do. I just do it. Okay, George? It's very straightforward. I run the show. Not you. You complete idiot. So I'll give you my example again, and you can listen to it. When we have a roundabout spinning, and it's inside a stadium that's closed, so there's no wind, the roundabout turns, and I throw the ball. And what do you know? We get Coriolis effect. We get a deflection from the ball in free flight. So, the atmosphere in that instance is a separate reference frame. We still have a ball in free flight, don't we, George? But in that example, the Coriolis deflection comes from the separate reference frame that is the atmosphere.
No.
Do you mean no? Yeah.
The deflection. No, you have to. With respect to what? The ball has a deflection with respect to the surface of the roundabout. It doesn't have a deflection with respect to the atmosphere.
No,
in
it's
that
travelling
case.
in a straight line through the atmosphere, like the bullet travels in a straight line through the atmosphere.
Yes.
Right, and
But
the
the
deflection...
atmosphere
Shut up!
is not-
Shut up! So the deflection comes because the roundabout spins underneath.
The deflection with respect to the roundabout, yes, there is
Right.
a deflection.
So the Coriolis effect is caused by the roundabout spinning underneath the separate reference frame of the atmosphere. Correct?
Yes, but
Okay, it's all right, George. I can then carry on from there. So the ball, like the bullet, right? That's in a trajectory, just like the bullet. Right? Free flight, right? So we've got the same exact circumstances as your Earth-based Coriolis example, except with the Earth-based example, it seems that you have the atmosphere travelling along with the roundabout, which isn't what's conducive to the Coriolis effect when we have a free flight ball, but suddenly when it becomes a bullet, then it does. So we have a contradiction again, don't we, George?
The roundabout dominates in this case because it has a much larger angular velocity than the Earth spinning about. You have three reference frames.
Angular velocity is based on the edge velocity. So the angular speed of Earth gives you a tangential speed of about 1,000 miles an hour. You're not going to tell me that the roundabout is slower than the Earth spinning. That's absolute and total nonsense. Why would you ever assert something? This is small scale. Absolutely without question. The roundabout turns far slower than Earth does, George, I assure you.
The roundabout does not turn slower than the Earth in terms of angular velocity.
Really?
It's
That's
much
fascinating.
faster.
In terms of its actual speed, it
thousands of
does. It
times
travels slower. The mile per hour is at the edge where I'm sitting.
No, that's tangential velocity.
That's what I said. So the tangential speed, so that's what we're talking about, and it makes no difference. What makes a difference to whether or not we get Coriolis effect is two separate reference frames. And in the example, with a ball and a roundabout and the atmosphere, the roundabout turns. You throw into free flight the ball and it deflects because the atmosphere is separate from the roundabout. Now we translate translate that same example across. We translate it across to the Earth. And unlike the roundabout, the Earth has an atmosphere travelling with it. So they're different. We have the same things going on, bullets being fired, balls being thrown, both free flight. And yet, you say the Coriolis effect happens with the roundabout with an atmosphere trapped in a force field, travelling along with the roundabout, because that's what you claim Earth is, a closed system with the atmosphere in lockstep. Right? Well, if it is, you don't have that second reference frame that the ball went into, George. You only have one reference
you're really
frame.
Thick on this one. You just really fail to understand the detachment of the ball from the atmosphere.
It's in the atmosphere, George. That's why it deflects, because it's left
It
the
doesn't
roundabout.
matter.
It's left the roundabout and gone into the air. That's not travelling with the roundabout. It's in a separate reference frame. So therefore you get the deflection because it's in a separate reference frame, the atmosphere, which is not turning with the roundabout. And because the atmosphere is not turning with the roundabout, you get the deflection. Now we scale it up to Earth, and the atmosphere is turning with the Earth. And yet we still get Coriolis? That makes no sense, George. It's a big, glaring problem.
No, it's not a problem because you're all buggered up and confused on.
I'm not confused, George. You're ad hominems when I've just given a detailed example. I'll give it again. I don't mind. I'll do this all day. While idiots like you tell me that it's just because I don't understand when I've detailed it about 50 times.
Well, you don't understand. You're detailing nonsense.
No. The Coriolis happens when you have two separate reference frames. In the example of a roundabout, the roundabout turns, and when you release the ball on the edge of the roundabout, the ball travels in a straight line in free flight. According to you, it's free flight. Suddenly giving you an extra reference frame, apparently. Nonetheless, we throw the ball into free flight, and because the air doesn't turn, we see an apparent deflection, because it goes into the separate reference frame of the atmosphere. Now we scale it up to Earth, and suddenly we don't have that separate reference frame. It's the same reference frame, but we still have Coriolis, right, George?
No, you're wrong.
That's a bit of a problem. And before I get to the end of my sentence, George is interrupting me because he doesn't want this concise so that the audience can understand his doublespeak. No. George wants to rumpus the hangout while I get to my point, which is that you have two different sets of circumstances. On a roundabout, which is what creates the Coriolis effect, you have the separate atmosphere causing
Riley,
deflection.
you asshole, quit muting me, you
Stop
son
talking
of a bitch.
over me then, George. I keep saying it, and every time I get to my point, you talk over me. So, I'm more than happy for Anthony to stop you rumpusing me.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm done. Everybody's...
Yeah, you were done a long time ago, George. Long time ago. Let's just see you drop like a coward then. I'll sit in silence.
Bye, George.
Bye, George. Let's see you drop. No one's kicking him.
Off you go, George.
Bye-bye, George. You were done ages ago, mate, when I annihilated you. Still seem to be here, George.
Oh, now he's protesting us. Oh, he's muted himself.
Just muting himself.
I said I'll stay here until you close
Excellent.
the show.
If you're, as you're here, George, as you're here, can you just tell me if Earth is open or closed?
Nathan, would you mind presenting my screen and I can help you with this with a scientific paper from space.com.
Excellent.
Just put me on screen, please.
Yeah, you're up.
I know this is going to kill you because I know you want the answer from
Anthony,
George.
we know how good your
clearly
research
not
is.
gonna give
George,
the
I
answer.
thought you were going to sit on mute.
Are
You back in the hangout, George? So I'd like an answer to my question. Is Earth open or closed?
Hey, Anthony, you're...
My name's Nathan, George. You seem to be very rude and ignoring my question. You piped up having said that you were going on protest and muting. Then you said you were going to drop and you're still here. Now I'd like an answer. Is Earth open or closed?
It's on screen, George. Click my link on the page. From Space and Energy. The article known as... Or the
Are you sure you got the right space and
energy?
You seem to be confused when you do your searches
we're not confused,
here, right?
George. You haven't even given us an
you're
answer.
sure
So
you got
there's
the
no
right...
confusion to have, George. We've just asked you a question which you have been unable to answer. So you don't need to detail our confusion. You didn't have an answer. It depending on the circumstances, George. So it's very simple. He's now brought up a definition, and before he's even read it out, you've got an objection with it.
Come on, George. What's it saying, blue?
Well, I'm not sure that you have the right thing here because I've seen
Well,
how you
anybody
research.
can check it, George.
Your
So
research abilities are
do you
so
want to
utterly
provide a citation
amazing.
for yourself?
Rumpus,
Do you want to
hello?
provide a citation for yourself, George? Because if you're not happy with mine, because my research skills
Your
suck, perhaps
citations
you
are
could do
bullshit.
one.
Hey, how
Perhaps
about
you could do one.
Michelle,
I'm sorry.
Present us the answer
Anthony,
if you
Anthony,
don't
hold
know
on a
it
second.
yourself.
Hold on, Anthony.
citation?
So, hold on,
You did
Anthony.
really some
Hold
wonderful
on.
things on that one.
George, are you saying this is wrong? So it's actually a closed system?
Well, I don't know. I can't trust anything coming from Riley after
So
Sorry.
provide your own citation then,
research
George.
abilities with
Provide
Leon.
a citation.
George, I've asked if this is wrong. So do you not like the fact that it says
it's wrong? I don't know if it's wrong. This is coming from Anthony Riley. I
Hey,
can't
George.
trust a damn thing that he
not the
does. Where's
citation.
Bill Maher
Just-
after seeing what he did with Foucault?
Hey, what year is it, George?
God.
Well,
So you
where's
still can't
Bill
give an
Miller?
answer.
What
So you're just
century is it?
obfuscating, George.
Hey,
I just want to.
hey,
You're
Randy,
not answering me, George.
Why don't you go outside and get one of those chemtrail burns
George.
on you?
Hey,
George,
what century is it, George?
Read this, George. Let me read this to you. It says there has been too much of a
I've got a
tendency,
little
and then in
video for you.
brackets,
Anthony, we don't know if you got the.
in brackets, George, I'm going to add the annotated words by George and then close brackets. So there has been too much of a tendency by George to view the Earth as a closed system, living in a state of, I don't even know what that word is.
I don't know that I can.
On its non-renewable sources,
coming
whereas
with,
it is
this thing from
actually an open system
you just
nurtured by the enormous amounts of energy that is sent out to it from the sun. So, George,
hey, someone wants to play a game
from Space and Energy Journal. In I don't know. If you're not happy with the citation, George, there's another one. Is the Earth open
We have
or not?
citation. Tell me about Mush.
He's asked you a very straightforward question, George, and you've just rumpused the entire hangout.
Oh, you guys are amazing.
George, is it open or not?
I haven't had so much fun in ages. I mean, I laughed my ass off the other day there, Riley, when I saw.
Yeah, I laughed my ass off too
last night when I was hearing you say it was the year century 20th century.
Yeah. So what century are we in, George? Are we in the 21st or 20th?
Are you sure it's not the 21st century?
Got it on screen.
George.
Earth is an open system, and I say, do you object to this citation? And he says, I don't know the answer. It's like, wow, that's amazing.
Well, to be fair, Nathan, there is an asterisk afterwards, and when you see an asterisk, we go down and see what the asterisk says. Would you like to see what the asterisk says,
yes,
Nathan and George?
Yes, please.
I'm looking for it. I saw it a second ago. It was right at the very bottom. It says, the numbers given in brackets refer to the attached bibliography. So what it's doing is it's providing a bibliography for the numbers in brackets. So I don't know where the numbers in brackets are.
Yeah, we know how good you are with bibliography. You did amazing work on that Foucault.
What century are we in, George? Are we in the 20th century or the 21st?
I don't know which one you're in because you certainly.
Well, I know which one I'm in, but
don't
you know which one
understand that a man that's been dead 130 years.
Sorry, you mentioned Foucault, George. We had it come up earlier, and I asked Rumpus what the observed phenomena was.
Man dies from AIDS in
No, I'm not talking about man dying from AIDS, George. Again, your senility's getting through again, George.
That was hilarious.
Time to take your pills, mate. Yeah. You said about the Foucault pendulum. You brought it up. This isn't me, just to get it clear in case you decide that this is me bringing it up 10 minutes from now.
You know,
so
that was amazing, though,
You
Riley.
just brought up the Foucault pendulum. Let's not have your senile old ramblings. No need for your senile old ramblings.
Discredit
no need.
You're
just rumpusing the hangout again, George. I'm going to have to pop you on mute. There we go. So, George, you brought up the Foucault pendulum.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're just talking constantly. You're rumpusing the hangout. So I'd like to know.
Yes, you are very good at this. You're very.
I'd like to know what the observed
very
phenomena
quick
is.
on your.
George, you're just rumpusing the hangout. This is what you're doing, George. You're rumpusing the hangout. Just talking over everybody now. That's what you do when you lose. That's what ballers do. This is what Red Rhetoric will be doing when he comes on. If he comes on, if he doesn't fly away like the stalk bitch he is. Yeah, that's what I anticipate he's already done. I think Reds has already given up. He knows that if he comes here, he's going to get his ass handed to him, just like George has. Yeah? What is it, open or closed, George? And you can't even give me an answer.
Come on, George, just answer the question. Is it open or is it closed on your model? Now he doesn't want to. Oh, come on.
The projectile has a separate reference frame.
No, it doesn't.
Sorry, you didn't listen to the question again. Go and take your pills, George. You seem to be losing the plot. You can't hear what's being said. You hear one thing and answer another. So he wasn't talking about trajectories. He asked if it was open or closed, and then you repeated a totally different question back.
No, this is what we've been on, is the Coriolis effect.
Right, and what we wanted to establish initially was whether or not we're in an open or closed system. So space, whether or not we can have a vacuum. And the specifics of that question were in regards to open and closed systems. And we want to know which it is.
Irrelevant.
It's irrelevant whether it's open or closed. Really? Well,
yes,
apparently, George, men have been to the moon. Apparently, George, irrelevant though you think it is, apparently, men have been to the moon. So that would indicate an open system, wouldn't it, George? Contrary to what you're telling us about this lockstep
The other frame
atmosphere.
of reference is the surface of the Earth and the atmosphere. You have two
and
frames
and
of
that's
reference.
closed, right? That's a closed
You seem
system.
to understand this. You seem to understand that the Coriolis effect requires two reference frames, one rotating, one non-rotating. That's exactly what we have when we have a projectile or a bullet leaving the muzzle of a gun.
George, you just contradicted yourself.
Its own
George,
reference
the atmosphere
frame.
went with the
The
Earth.
Earth has its own.
George, listen. You've just contradicted yourself because earlier on you said that the atmosphere went with the Earth. Now you're saying it's separate.
No, I'm saying no. I did not. I'm not contradicting myself.
He's a double-speaking asshole. He's done this for 2 shows now, constantly asserting one when he gets up against the ropes far enough, he'll concede and say yes, it goes into a separate reference frame. Then as soon as you point out that he's contradicted himself, he says, no, I haven't contradicted myself. No, they're the same.
Where have I contradicted myself?
I made a list, George, and you commented on it. I time-stamped every time you contradicted yourself yesterday. Do I need to do it again for this show? George, I hadn't finished my sentence, mate. Yeah? You asked a question, where have I contradicted myself? I think I made 15 to 20 timestamps yesterday where you said in one instance that it was one reference frame.
Hey, forget about yesterday.
Oh yeah, let's forget about yesterday while you rumpus all over my pointing out that you've contradicted yourself plenty of times on yesterday's Hangout.
I'm trying to help
and
you
you've
out
done
here.
it again today, George. You've done it just now. You've told
George,
us that you haven't contradicted yourself, even though in the last breath
well, you
told
said
us
earlier that the atmosphere went with the Earth, and now you've just said that the atmosphere was separate.
No, I'm not saying that the atmosphere is not going with the Earth.
No, but you did earlier on.
Goes
That's contradiction.
But you're listening.
Earlier on, you said the
atmosphere goes with the Earth.
If the atmosphere goes with the Earth, George, then conversely, you would have to have the atmosphere going with the roundabout. But it doesn't. We achieve the Coriolis effect on the roundabout without the atmosphere travelling with the roundabout. So how is it so that we can have a roundabout with a separate reference frame causing the Coriolis effect, but Earth doesn't?
Nathan, he's just saying that the atmosphere now goes with the Earth.
I've always said that. I've never claimed it otherwise.
But you just said 2 minutes prior that the atmosphere didn't go with the Earth because Coriolis.
Not say that. Get your
hold on.
shit out of your ears.
Let me just. Okay, I'll try and keep it calm. Please let me get to the end of my question. Right. Just right. So
Did you keep it calm? It's been a bit heated up to now.
So George, in the Earth atmosphere system, the Earth and the atmosphere are one reference frame. Correct? Yes.
Yes.
Right. And in that single reference frame, you can, for the love of God, Ranty, in that single reference frame, you still observe the Coriolis effect in a bullet. Is that correct?
For a person standing on the Earth or in the atmosphere, yes, they observe a deflection of the bullet. They experience the Coriolis effect.
Okay, so just for clarity, I'll just repeat it back. So, the Earth and the atmosphere are the same reference frame. You fire a gun and you get Coriolis. One reference frame.
No, not one reference frame. The bullet, you fire the bullet, it has a separate reference frame.
So
you have
okay,
two reference
no
frames.
worries, just let me get clarity. So because the bullet is in free flight, it has a separate reference frame, correct?
Correct.
Okay, let me just get it perfectly down. So we've got one reference frame, the atmosphere and the spinning Earth together, one reference frame. Then the second reference frame is the free flight object. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Excellent.
The pre-flight
It's all right. I don't need anything more from you. I'm just going to go on to something else now, George. George, I hadn't finished, George. George, I asked if I could get through to the end. Can you at least pay me a little bit of respect?
All right.
Thank you. Thank you,
We got
George.
it. We're on the same page here.
Excellent.
Okay.
We're on the same page so far. Right.
Yeah.
Now we go to a different spinning reference frame. Not the Earth with the attached atmosphere. We sit on a roundabout. Also a spinning reference frame. Okay, you with me so far? Just need a yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So, we sit on the edge of the roundabout, and then we fire a gun. With me so far?
Yes.
And as we continue to turn, when the bullet leaves the muzzle, we see a deflection. Correct?
Yes. If you're on the roundabout and fired the gun, yes, you see a deflection.
Right. Why is it the case that on the Earth, you can achieve that with one reference frame, and on the roundabout, you didn't seem to do it again? I get to the crescendo of my point, and this asshole wants to talk all over it. So I'll try again. Let's see if George can let me get out my point, which is devastating to his argument. So, George, I'll try once more. Let's see if you can contain your ejaculations. So, George, on the roundabout...
You're a disgusting human being, you know that?
Why?
Contain my ejaculations. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Excuse me, don't swear at me. Why are you swearing at me?
Yes, I will swear at you. You're a disgusting human being just like that P. Mars.
What are you talking about? Why are you calling me a disgusting human being?
You're using words like ejaculation and
Sorry,
shit
Anthony,
like that.
just while I carry on with my example, can you go to the definition of ejaculation, please? You there, Anthony? I'm going to
Too much swearing. I kicked him.
Sorry, you haven't kicked him, have you? Why the hell did you do that?
I kicked him, I'm sorry.
Why?
He was playing. He swore like 3 times.
Oh, listen. The ejaculation, he clearly doesn't understand it.
Yeah, and it's yet another time that he's a thicko who doesn't understand English, like Rumpus doesn't understand English.
No. Oh, we need to remove that one. So, where were we? Now that he's finally left, that was a really hard... He was just literally doing the Rumpus thing. Every time Nathan was speaking, he was speaking on top of all the time. We don't even hear what Nathan's saying.
Yeah, so basically, I get criticised for muting people. And the reason I do it is because I start talking like I'm talking now, and rather than a reasonable conversation where people on the panel will let me get to the end of a sentence or example that requires a little bit of affirmation in the middle, I get talked over continually. So when that happens, either they cut the mic because they've got the gate open, or you have constant talking with everybody talking all at once. Now, this is my show, and if I want to say something, I'm gonna. Right? This is something that Red's Rhetoric has claimed is a reason to be terrified of me. Yeah? He's welcome to be terrified. I know he's terrified. But that's his excuse. My defence against assholes like George and Rumpus, who just talk continually.
Nathan, just before you round out, just check Skype. I've sent you a file on Skype you need to see. Alternatively, there was somebody... It was Ranty. Was it Ranty? Are you still there, Ranty, or have you gone?
I'm still here. What's up?
I was just making sure you hadn't committed suicide.
Why would I do that?
Just because that was the worst. The bottom line is this: the guy doesn't want to admit that on the model it's an open system, but it acts just like a closed system because you can't have pressure against the vacuum of space. You can't do it. Gravity isn't a strong force to be able to pull it down. If it was, you'd be able to measure it, detect it, observe it, prove it. They can't do it. It has to be a closed system of some kind. They just don't want. They don't want to accept it.
Yeah, it depends on the problem.
George, just look
depends
where
on the problem.
ejaculate.
It's what he said. Depends on the problem. So if you've got a certain problem, I will just change the model. We'll make it closed for this example. So I need trajectories to be in a closed system. So the example I'll give you is you travel along in a closed car and you can't tell you're moving. It's like, yeah, but Earth's not a closed car, George. It's an open car. Oh, no, but not for this example because it doesn't work. Oh, right, George. Well, that's a problem. No, it's not a problem. Well, yeah, it is.
And he's not honest.
And that's what we go on.
He's not honest enough to admit it. Yet he'll come on and try and make out in some way that my issue about my video was enough to discredit me for the whole body of science or whatever, the whole of your career, which is the exact criticism that you would give for me, right? A little bit hypocritical, that, in my opinion.
I think we can probably have a normal conversation for a little bit if you want to carry on. God, Scalpel, were you trying to say something?
Yeah, yo, Nathan, man, I didn't know you get so angry at me, bro.
Sorry, sir. Sorry.
I'd get angry.
Yeah, I just looked at it like this. He'd wrecked himself over and over. I mean, like, it was kind of like, even at that point, and then we had to tolerate it for another half an hour of, you know what I mean? Like, getting after it. But I think, like, hey, it's, c'est la vie, I guess, it is your show, if you will. But, yeah, I thought there was enough. You can't have it both ways. It's like ballers have asked us continually to take it both ways. It's like
they must have it both ways.
Hold on, one sec. They want us to see the curvature at 4 or 5 miles away, but you can't see curvature at 120,000 feet, of course. And then you got like this kind of thing where it's like he's bringing up trajectory. Granted, he was trying to bring up a mathematical problem on another scale. And it's a fair enough question, like you brought up, to have the closed or enclosed system, because I almost beg to say, like, hey, if we're going in that straight trajectory, and let's say we'll give them that car, whatever, like that, the point is that we're not even on a straight trajectory. Like, it's like, there's all this other, like, you'd have all these momentum shifts if what they propose, like Kepler dynamics and all, you know what I mean? Like, if that's how they're going to say everything else is moving, it's all fair game.
Well, for me, a minute 50 seconds return time on a bullet fired straight up, and it can come back down and kill you, means no matter where you are on this so-called ball, it's not spinning. I mean, at 45-degree latitude here, if I fired that 50 cal straight up, it should move me and the gun 16 miles away. If I'm at the equator, it should move me 30 miles away. There's no way a bullet coming back down from the 50 cal should be able to kill me.
But see, it's for that same reason why on my video challenging No Simon Dan, I'm asking him how did he measure the distance to the sun, and I'm pretty sure he's going to come back with radar Venus. But the problem with that is the same one as the Earth spin, because if the signal gets sent out, right, bearing in mind that the signal has got to travel 30 million miles, and it's got to come back 30 million miles, it takes about 3.5 minutes to get to Venus at the speed that they tell us it goes at. And it takes about 3.5 minutes to get back. So we'll call it about 7 minutes, right? But in that time, wherever you are on the Earth, a little bit of maths would have to be done to calculate how much tangential speed that you would have taken up. Now, the argument is that, well, the radar signal is going to go out like a radar, like a plip, right? It's not going to go out like a bullet. But when it hits that Venus, apparently, and then bounces back to Earth, what's coming back? It's only coming back as a plip. It's not going out as it went out as a like a shield. But when the reflection comes back, it's not coming back as a shield. All the rest of it's missing. So the Earth is going to spin, and for you to be able to make that 7 minutes worth of Earth movement, which is not just orbiting the sun, it's rotating on its axis. The only way you're going to receive that signal back after 7 minutes is to relocate your camp from one part of the desert to another part of the desert to compensate for the rotation of the Earth, because otherwise you're going to miss that plip coming back. So that's what I'm expecting him to come back with. And if he does come back with that, he's not going to show that the Earth is spinning and orbiting. He's just going to say that the signal comes back. But it can't do it because you're not going to be in the same place to receive. It's utter nonsense.
Well, hold up. I'll bring up a counter argument they might bring. They'll be like, "Well, it's because of the probate, what is it? The probate motion of the moon, that it moves in accordance, like it kind of goes with the way that we spin."
No, I'm working on the assumption he's coming back with Venus, not the moon.
Oh, forgive me.
He may come back with the moon. I'm not sure what he's going to come back. I'm preempting his strike, but I've asked No Simon Dan to give us the current science for how they know the distance to the sun.
Forgive me. I was thinking when they do the tests off of the moon, with the laser tests or whatever they do.
Sure. I mean, the bottom line is no one really knows the distance to any of the celestial objects because they don't know any of the actual sizes. Shout out to Jaren for citing the exact thing that we've been talking about for the last week. Nobody knows the distances because nobody knows any of the actual sizes. And in trigonometry, you need to know 3 things. You need to either know 2 angles and a distance, or 2 distances and an angle. And we don't know one of them ever. So unless there's a current science that identifies specifically where they got one or the other from, then that's the point I'm going to focus on. But they can't do it, and I'm pretty sure he won't be able to do it. But what he'll do is he'll knock over the pieces on the chessboard and claim victory, right? But when I show that the pieces have been knocked over on the chessboard, he'll just ignore it, and that's what all the ballers do.
No, the ballers are like, you could say like, I like peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and they'll be like, you're lying.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. That's why I always think there's so much comedic gold. It's so rich out here. Because, it's almost like the people who fight for the ball don't even understand where the science is actually at. So it's like all the more. I mean, it's kind of hilarious. I don't know what to say. But yeah, like the idea you can't see, you can't see curvature at 120,000 feet, of course. But then, you're supposed to think that the ball, but also boats go over the curve of the Earth at however many miles away. So it's pretty wild. I mean, how come we can't see Paris from New York, guys?
Angular size reduction. It's too small to see.
I come on, Nathan. You can't be serious. It's everyone's so they get everything gets so literal and so severe. It's but yeah, it's amazing.
So I have a question. He said free flight, right, on the bullet. Does that mean if you take a plane up in the sky and you kill the engine and lock the flaps and the rudder and everything, is it gonna have a Coriolis effect? Is that what he's saying?
What was that, man?
I think you might have lost signal.
What about a glider or a hot air balloon? Is that considered free flight?
Oh, you didn't hear me?
Yeah, we do hear you.
The question, I didn't catch the question. Forgive me, brother.
Yeah, my question is, if you take a plane up in the sky and you kill the engine and you let it free fall or whatever, is gonna have a Coriolis effect suddenly? Is that
I don't know actually.
of that guy?
We would need him to tell us that because that seems
He'd probably
nonsensical.
he'd have to calculate. Well, what altitude did you fall from? And when did the engine cut off? How many people were on the plane?
What about a guy on a parachute or a glider or a hot air balloon?
Exactly. But
free flight?
That's what,
So what about a hot air balloon then? What about a hot air balloon that's not got power?
That's
like
a good.
Like a glider.
Well, a hot air balloon that's just going up on a thermal, right? Nath, check Skype.
Yeah, didn't Baumgarten have a little bit of it's there was some kind of a drop, right? Or a change in, or did he? They took him up and then he went down straight down, right? I don't think there was what was the I wonder what that variation.
Yeah,
was.
that's a good point. How come he didn't deflect?
Well, he would have landed.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Hello?
Yep, we got you, man.
What's up? Good to have you.
What's up?
Wakey.
Yeah, I've been trying
John,
to get in, man.
you've been criticised by George Netting. Did you hear what he said?
Huh?
Sorry, I spoke over you. Go on, John.
Yeah, I was trying to get in for the past hour, man, to jack this. Hey, Nathan, you going to stay on for a little bit or no?
Just looking at the DVR time, we're coming up for 2 hours, so it tends to cock up the re-up if I go over 2 hours. So I think I'll probably end it. Do you want to have the last word? We've got about 60 seconds left.
Oh, man, no. I don't want to have the last word with 60 seconds, man. We got to run a sidebar here and just jack these senile crayon munchers, man. We just got to just jackhammer them. I got it, man. So
don't forget, kill him with kindness, bro.
Maybe. I think that will be the point that I round out the show, though. So with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!